Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in for my session today, and I hope you are enjoying the conference day so far. Just to start with, we all live in a world that is technology-driven and very data-centric. If we step back to like a few years and we see how the business manages, and now if we look at the dynamics of the business have been transformed to a extent, everybody have the connectivity. So the data that is generated these days is very huge. We are talking about petabytes, terabytes, and exabytes. So the data that is being generated these days is very huge. And obviously, the technology evaluation is really to an extent that where people wants to utilize everything. Just to talk about like how we gonna manage this data. So the amount of data that is being generated through different channels, it's going to be a big challenge, right? So we have this concept and technologies that manages, and we hear now and then new technologies. This is all just to drive the business, how we manage these days. So this presentation is kind of like a revolutionary combo. The business model, or maybe a combination that we are going to discuss, is something relatively very new. Conceptually, people have worked for a few months or maybe like few years, but there is no real adoption yet. But there are few companies, business, they have already adopted the combination of blockchain with big data, all those things, but still it is too early. But however, if you think that what are we talking about is something coming from the fairy world, or maybe some coming from not real, I want you to just look at these next slides. So as per the market share, the big data can reach up to 229 billion by 2025. So that big data market, the share market, is going to reach $229.4 billion. And and big data, I need to move this to a little bit down here, sorry. Yeah, big data with the blockchain is predicted to be worth trillions of dollars that can redefine the way business is running in the upcoming years. So what we are talking here is really a serious model for the business, and maybe more and more adoption can be seen in the coming years, or maybe like down the line 3-4 years. We know what is ledger. We'll be going through very quickly in the next few slides. So blockchain ledger could be the worth of 20% of the total big data market by 2030. So it can be like over 100 billion annual revenue. So having these two together has a great potential for the business as well as for the opportunity wise. And also it is predicted that the distributed ledger technology will support the enterprises finally to get grip with the big data. So we know these technologies come from very different aspects. You might be wondering like what is the integration and correlation between big data and big blockchain, but there are ways, there are few gaps that we can fill with big data along with the blockchain, so that you will have 100% of the deliverability. Just to quickly run through, as we have given only 30 minutes of very strict timeline, so I'll be just quickly going through a couple of slides about big data and blockchain. I don't know, I presume maybe some of you know what is big data and blockchain, and some of you doesn't know. So not to worry, and just bear with me for a couple of slides where I'm gonna talk about big data, blockchain summary and their ecosystem. And we will jump in and discuss what are the challenges that we have currently in big data and the blockchain, how we can benefit bringing them together, making a combo for the futuristic model for business. And we see what is the role of blockchain in data analytics. We have been hearing that data analytics is meant, for the big data. So how really we gonna have kind of benefits using data analytics in blockchain. And then towards the end of the session, I'll try to give you a couple of use cases where currently who are the player with the combination of big data and blockchain working and serving the market. And also maybe I'll also discuss two industry cases where one is a health sector and another is financial sector, where this combo can drive the business to a really good heights. Just to tell you about who I am quickly, my name is Syed Jaffer. I live in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. I work for a company called Secure Max as a CEO, and I have over 30 years of IT experience. I'm an author, speaker, blogger, and entrepreneur. I'm lucky to be co-authored a few of Oracle books. Though I come from the Oracle database background, it's been a quite long journey for me so far. You can follow me on LinkedIn or maybe Twitter. Just to quickly run through what is big data in nutshell. Big data word, the term was first coined in very early 2000s. To be honest, there is no predefined definition of big data to define what is big data, but simply put, big data is nothing but a collection of large volume of data that is generated from the variety of data sources from different data sets, variety sizes, velocity, and the variety. When I say different diversified data sources, we're talking about structured, unstructured, and semi-structured. So these are the data types. So it's basically like a centralized location for all your data source data, through which you can drive data analytics, data visualization, data science kind of stuff. How you define any system as a big data? So every big data system defined on 4 elements or 4 characteristics. So now they say there is another one which now makes 5 V's instead of 4 V's. You might have learned or maybe here 3 V's, 4 V's. Now I can say it is 5 V's. So the characteristics of big data build on these 5 components. So volume, velocity, variety, value, and veracity. So what is volume? Volume is nothing but the quantity of the data that we are working or we are managing. So as you know, when someone say big data, we think big. So the data which is huge to manage. So that is the quantity or the data quantity we are talking about here. Velocity, of course, to manage that data with the speed that is generating is very important. So big data must take care of the velocity of the generation of the speed of the data to process for the same speed. And variety, of course, we talk about the heterogeneous data types, which is structured, semi-structured, and like full structured. So it can be like data or videos or maybe images, you name it, anything. So this is the variety of data that we are talking about in the variety. Volume is value is nothing but the significance of the data that you gather, and out of it, what you make is the value of your data. Of course, the veracity is a very important key factor. That is the data quality of the aspect. So because there is no control over the number of devices and types of devices that is connected over the internet to insert to pump the data. So data aspect, which the data quality is very important. So if any big data system matches these characteristics, that's really a big data system. So whenever you define big data, make sure you consider these characteristics to build your big data. So what is the ecosystem that we talk about in big data? So primarily there are 2 key components, which is data sourcing, data management, and of course the data analytics part. So data sourcing is like the variety of data or maybe data sites from different sources that you get it. It can be a database or maybe flat file or image files, or can be an object, anything. So from different data source, you just take the data, pump into the big data system, utilizing some of the data ingestion tools that we have, maybe like Kafka or Nifi. So these are the data ingestion tools that can be used to get the data and pump it, load it to the big data system. So big data is basically is nothing but a storage where the data is stored in like a distributed manner. So it can be anything. Then you process the data. Once you process the data, then you are going to do that, make it as a structured. So when you process and put it in structure, and then it comes to the end user result, which is like your management or anything. You want to do the data visualization using different tools, business analysis or BI tools. You can do it based on the data that you have. You can prepare dashboards to just look at the trends, forecast the changes, data models, those things. So this is the very quick definition of big data, how big data is built, how it is processed. And talking about blockchain, we have been hearing blockchain a lot, I guess. And of course, this conference has majority of the sessions talking about blockchain. I don't need to deep dive into the blockchain concept, but just to give you a definition, if you are not really new or does not have much details, blockchain is nothing but a distributed ledger system which runs on a decentralized environment, and the transactions that are stored in the transaction in the blockchain is known as blocks. And these blocks are securely connected to each other in a chronological order. So there is an order. They are connected to each other very tightly using the hash algorithm. And in simple terms, you can also say that it's simply a timestamp append log only. So when we say a timestamp and append only, so one of the key protocols, or you can say the advantages of blockchain is, once you write the data, you cannot tamper with it. It's a tamper-free, and you cannot revamp, alter the data because of the mechanism that has been designed. So why it is so popular, and why most of the industries want to have this on their agenda to develop application, purely because it's a decentralized and distributed systems, very transparent, immutable, and incorruptible. Of course, it uses group consensus in order to to add the data, change the data. So these are the key components that makes big data, blockchain, a very strong system. So as I mentioned, the data stored here in blockchain in the form of blocks, they are connected to each other through a chain which is securely connected. And when I say that chronological order, so 2 has the previous hash value and 3 has the 2 hash value. So that means that there is no chance that anybody can just simply go and tamper the data. And the hash is nothing but like, fingerprint of the data block, which is very unique to the every data block we have. And this is just simply the how the tree is formed for the transaction using the Merkle tree structure. So how transactions are done in blockchain? Simply, when you initiate the transaction is requested, a new block is created, and the new block is broadcasted to the other network nodes in the network. And those nodes are then validates the authenticity based on the consensus. And once based on the consensus mechanism that is used for the blockchain network, and then finally the data or the block is added to the blockchain. So this is just roughly to give you a quick background what is blockchain and big data systems. So here is the ecosystem of the blockchain. So the block is the centric component of blockchain. It is with the hash value, which is the fingerprint of the block. It's like a unique identification. So we use consensus mechanism to proceed to add the data. And then there are smart contracts, which is like a piece of agreement between the two individuals or parties in P2P network to execute on a particular event and settle the settlement and do the settlements. So miners is another type of node where their primary job is to validate the transactions and also do the mining for the bitcoins if it is a Bitcoin platform. So these are the few ecosystems that work together to form a blockchain in blockchaining technology. Okay, now let's see how this combo can really work for us. As I mentioned very early in the first slide, that this is not something this is really heavily used these days, but what we are talking is could be a futuristic business model where most of the companies, maybe around like 20% share will be there for blockchain and big data when it comes to big data. So let's see how we can use or make this integration big data and blockchain in order to get more out of it and fix some of those gaps that we see in the individual technology. As you know, big data is around for over 2 decades since it started in 2000. And there is a good adaptability by the enterprises, and there have been a lot of applications. Again, when we talk about data, we talk about huge amount of data, which cannot be controlled generally, because there are so many interfaces that will be connecting. If it is a internet over internet, then you don't have the control. So and more these days, what is very challenging when you have huge amount of data is about the privacy and the security of the data. So when you are in a very open system and you don't have the control where the data is really genuine, or like it's not tampered, so you don't have the guarantee. So those gaps are there in big data. So combining blockchain, because it comes from the very secure, reliable, and transparent technology built on the protocols of this reliable, secure, and transferability. So making these two combo can fix a lot of challenges that we are currently facing in the big data applications. Simply put, if I say what is big data is the quantity and blockchain is the quality. And what we are given to talk today is a concept bringing quality and quantity together to make a perfect system, so that there won't be much gaps when we use these two technologies together. So what are the present challenges? As we just understand, blockchain guarantees the transaction integrity, that the data is not tampered and is validated properly before it being added to the transaction. What it lacks is currently the capabilities of analytical aspects. So the data is there, but I don't think so you can do any data analytics currently, anything using the blockchain. That is basically resolved by the big data concept. However, as I mentioned, when the huge amount of data is coming in, the security and privacy becomes the key concerns about the data. So even the individuals are pretty much worried about the privacy of the data, and data being maybe shared with for different kind of practices that can land in big troubles. So another thing is prevention of fraud. Big data, we collect data from various sources, and we cannot guarantee the authenticity whether the data was tampered or something and then injected in the big data system. So what we do, data analytics, is just the historical data we collect, and then we prepare the trend analysis, and we predict the future trend, or maybe business solutions kind of things. So still, again, there is a chance of prevention, data prevention is still not there. And data quality, again, like data quality, there is no integrity in the big data. That can still remain a big question mark for many organizations about their data, whether this is really clean data or not. And organizations simply lose millions of dollars because of the dirty data or incorrect data. And also, of course, sometimes securing and intercepting the huge amount of data is not an easy task sometimes. And keeping the records for very long time or maybe permanently is another big challenge that we see in the big data platforms. These are some real world challenges that have been faced in the big data. For example, like data collection is exposed to various malicious attacks and threats because it comes from the various interfaces where you cannot just be responsible or just to look into it, authorize it. So data transmission and sharing also is a big problem. File, you look at it, even the database, if we use the database for the big data, the database also is again the threat for inside and outside, internal or external attacks as well. So all these issues can be resolved with the blockchain, and to bringing together all this can be addressed. So how this combo will really help us for any organization? Both technologies, of course, they are different in context. How they use the use cases are bit different, big data and blockchain. But one thing is very common: both of them are data centric. So they both manages numerous amount of data. So that is very common point, though they come from the very different perspective of application uses. When we talk about the combining or integrating these two technologies, big data and blockchain, there will be an additional layer we are adding up in the big data that really help the concerns of data security and privacy because of the nature of the blockchain, how it works. And definitely when we do the data analytics, it's a real-time analytics because the data pumped here is already there and we don't need to filter and then send it again. So together they can deliver cost-effective solutions, for data analytics and the technology for a long period of time. How maybe we will be discussing in the next few slides. And blockchain can add value to the big data analytic process, as we discussed. For real-time data analytics, blockchain could be really very handy here. This is just one of the proposed blockchain and big data platform. It was on Cloudera. So courtesy is from the Cloudera blog that I have taken this. As you see, the architecture here, there is big data and as well as blockchain platform together put in. So if you look at the data providers, it can be anything, maybe coming from the cloud or coming from the various data sources that is pumped into the, again, big data platform system where you use the raw devices. And then there is a blockchain layer also, which basically resolve or fix the security and privacy issues. And one more thing, when we have these two type of solutions together, let me tell you, you don't need to store complete data in blockchain. So you can just keep some data outside the blockchain as well. The critical data, what you think, you can put it in the blockchain. So the data that we put on blockchain is known as a on-chain data and then off-chain data. So this is something, a new terminology or new vocabulary when we combine these two technologies together to work. This is another example representing the same architecture layer here. As you see, data acquisitions, so we have the data. Data is collected through data injection tools and then put it across the data layers, data storage. And then on top of it, we have a blockchain layer, which actually makes sure that the consensus methodology and security and all those things. Based on that, you can prepare your intelligence reports for the predictive analysis. So what are the potential benefits? These are the potential benefits that we can foresee when we together combine these two technologies. So first thing is enable data traceability. This is really very important because when we load the data into big data, we can't trace back to the data origin. So since when the data is being loaded, whether it is really coming from a long time or not. So whereas the same problem can be solved in blockchain. So the data traceability is very well possible because the data is immutable on blockchain. So it is very easy to go back to the data origin so that you know the authenticity of the transactions here. and make real-time analysis again. So once you put the data into blockchain, it's there for forever, and then you don't need to again load the data from various sessions. So and you don't need to filter and cleanse the data in order to prepare your data analytics. So this is really a good use case example for real time of analytics when you bring these two together. Again, the data accuracy and the improved data integrity. Since blockchain runs on decentralized and distributed manner, environment, so it is guarantees that no one can tamper the data and no one can change it. So it's not a single authority which can hold the capacity to change the dynamics anytime. So it's a group and also consensus to process the mechanism, and makes data sharing smooth and easy. This is one more thing that we can see really in the future. We can also connect like a global ledger where similar type of industries can come under one roof and share the details. That really make very easy. I'll give you an example later in the slide where about like 50 banks in Japan come together to share their data, making a single platform. So how this can be very cost effective and really quick, fast. Just going through the advantages that we discussed about. Sorry.
Just a friendly notification related to the time. So if you can wrap up, yeah, I'm sorry for that.
All right. Let me just show them one just very quick this example. So these are the very popular big data and blockchain applications currently run. This is something called Extreme Life is Store.J. It's a new generation of decentralized cloud storage compared to the very typical and traditional cloud storages. This works in a decentralized manner. The one beauty of this Store.J is like even you can rent it out your additional hard disk for a rent or something. And when the file is created on this storage, it's basically pieces into multiple pieces and spread across the different storage objects. So this gives you the good facility so that no one can break into it, and spread across, and also auditability. We have another blockchain-enabled data analytic project, which is the Omnilytics, which works for the marketing and sales. And and then there is Rubik's, which is basically a cryptocurrency kind of trading platform where people can just come across and do the trading very transparently. And towards the last blockchain-enabled data security projects, it's a supply chain management project. Provenance is the product where you can see as a customer, as a producer. So it can be like under one umbrella, you come and then register all your certificates and the concept of the food, everything. So when you combine these two together, it's gonna give you a real value to the business. So just concluding, blockchain contributes big data to make data more valuable, high quality, accessibility, and transparency are enhanced. So what I mean to say is like you are combining the data and the quality together to make sure that the business demand is met. And again, let me emphasize, this is a very relatively very new concept or data business model we are just pitching here. And I'm pretty sure that coming in like 5 years, 6 years, you might be probably seeing more and more organization business, they will have this on their agenda to have this combination. So thank you so much. I know it's been a little late. Thank you so much.